I think we should begin our second character of the 4 we're going to create in this short broadcast week, leading into all sorts of other adventure prompts for this coming one before the big winter break. Oh, hey, you could come up with a fun story about that, Hark. I mean, fixing it is should be easy enough to do. But yeah, that would be a good that would be a good story. You know, anyone can have a 2-winged ASMR. Come on, but a 1-winged angel, that's ridiculous. No one would ever think a character called the 1-winged angel would ever be popular. All right, it is now time to make our second character. We made this really cool Sverfneblin multi-classed Ranger Barbarian. And now let's find out what our next character is going to be. Van, will you kick us off with a percentile roll in the chat? Exclamation point 1D100. Eight. So we're going to have a female character. And now for our race. Awaz, will you please roll a D6 in chat? Exclamation point 1D6 for me. Kevin, can you give me a D6 roll instead? Awaz might be away from keyboard. All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, Awaz, can you please type exclamation point 1D6 for me? Lands on a 1. All right, so we have a halfling. We are going to be making so we have a gnome. We have a deep gnome. Are we going to get a Ghostwise halfling? Are we going to have the rare small folk here? Let's find out. And let's go. Hark, will you give me a D3 roll in chat? On a 1, we're going to have a Ghostwise halfling. Lightfoot or a stout halfling as well. One wishes. So yes, we are in fact going to have the more, the unseen, the more uncommon ones. So we have a female Ghostwise halfling. And she's going to be small, S-M-O-L. Okay. Now for the alignment. Daily, can you give me a percentile roll in chat? Exclamation point 1D100. $96. We have a chaotic evil female Ghostwise halfling. And at what level are we going to produce her? Dysfemist, will you please type exclamation point 1D100 to help out with that? Well, if we want to style her like that, possibly Awaz. Disfamous might not be here. Wolfblade, can you give me a percentile roll in chat? Exclamation point 1D100, please. Well, it seems I'm not doing too well in calling folks out here. Pouty Lips, can you please type exclamation point 1D100? And for any of you out there watching, for people who I see are in chat that want to participate, I'll call on you to make a roll. You know, if you've been chatting or whatnot. So if any of you want to roll, just let me know. All right, so strike 3, I'm out. Cold Spark, you're here. I need you to roll a percentile for me, Cold Spark. Hey, thank you for joining us, Random Hero. All right, too old to Twitch, stepped up. That's fine, thank you very much. Stopped on a 66. So we are going to make a 13th level character. Random Hero, will you please type exclamation point 1D100 to help us determine if we're going to take all stat bumps or if we're going to replace any of them with feats? $48. All right, we're going to take all stat bumps. Thank you very much. Now it's time for our backgrounds. Backgrounds we'll just have be... very good, Hark. Fi is here. Fi, will you kindly... what did we do? It was a D4 and a D12, I believe. So, Fi, will you please type exclamation point 1D4? All right, Cold Spark, have a good night. Thank you for hanging out. Stops on a 2. So this was 1, and then our second set of 12 starts here. Cold Spark, before you leave, can you roll a D12 for me? Stops on a 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A folk hero. Oh, all right. A good solid background out of the player's handbook. Now, there is an origin of sorts to being a folk hero. Van, will you please roll a D10 in chat to help us determine which kind of folk hero we are? Whatever origin one is. I don't know yet, but that's fine. We'll discover it together. Now it's time for some meat and taters. The class and the subclass. Again, all options are on the table here. Random Hero, will you please type exclamation point 1D12 to help us determine what class our Ghostwise Halfling is going to be? I should say which class, because there are multiples. Hark, can you give me a D12 roll in chat, please? Lands on a 7. We have a Paladin. And Daily, can you please roll a D8 in chat to help us determine which kind of Paladin we have? Five. I was going to say a shadow. Hey, an Oathbreaker. An Oathbreaker Paladin out of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Chaotic Evil. Paladin. Oathbreaker. All right, class features. The Paladin does get a fighting style. Fi, will you please roll a D4 to help us determine which kind of fighting style she uses? Defense. We are a defensive Oathbreaker. We are more armored. Okay. As we are a halfling. Dun, 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 dun. Goblins, half-elf. Stout halfling, Ghostwise halfling. There we go. Kevin, will you please roll a percentile in chat to help us determine how old our Paladin is? Stops on a 15, so she is a young adult. A young adult, which is 13 plus 1d7. I think I have a d7 roller. Awaz, can you try typing exclamation point 1d7? I might have a 7-sided die in there. All right, I'll roll this. I'll roll this real quick then. So let's make a D7. We're gonna add 13 years to her age. She is 19 years old. She's a young adult at 19. Now we need some height modifiers, and we need some personalities. Van, will you please give me an exclamation point 4d6 roll? And then Hark, will you give me a d4? Daily, will you give me a d8? So one of our height modifiers is 3. Our first personality trait is 2. Too old to twitch. Can you type exclamation point 4d6 for me? Thank you. 2, 2, and 3. There we go. Our ideal bond and flaw. Next up, Fi, can you give me a D4? Kevin, can you give me a D8? All right, there we go. So our personality traits are 2 and 1, and we have our ideal bond and flaw. Then we're adding 5 inches to her base height of 2'7", which is going to put her at an even 3 feet tall. This 5 that we generated is multiplied by the weight modifier and added to her base weight. And so she is 40 pounds. Now, obviously, that's her, not in her armor with a great sword or whatever she uses. That's her waking up in the morning in her PJs and having breakfast. She's 40 pounds. Now, Ghostwise Halflings, if I am not mistaken, are in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide. Whoops, let's move this over here. Lightfoot, Strongheart. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Whoa, was I incorrect on that one? All right, Chromdrade, have a great night. Thank you for joining us. We are not in the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide, it seems. Where are you? Not a supplement. Maybe Xanathar's. We'll check that one out. Shame on me. I should know this stuff. Racial feats. You know what? I am just not batting too well with this. Trying to find the Ghostwise. Do any of you know offhand which supplement the Ghostwise Halfling is in? It is currently baffling me. I will open up the DMG because we're going to need it for the Paladin, for the Oathbreaker. So go to that real quick. We're going to be using the DMG a lot this coming week, by the way. So this is probably not going to get closed. Oh. Concern it, I'm being baffled at every turn. NPCs, villains, 94. Well, it's Ghostwise Halflings. I don't know if Ghostwise Halflings are in that. Oh, you know what? I'm being a bit of a derp here. You know what I can do? Is when we go to the races, we could just find out. Oh, you know what? Is it Mordenkainen's? Because they talk about gnomes and halflings. Yes, it is. I should have done that. And I also should have known. Because there's that whole section that talks about the interaction between gnomes and halflings. Shame on me. Kind of floundering around here. There we go. See, because they have elf sub-races, because there's the whole, drow and elves, the dwarves and Duragar, So, Halflings is on 99. Now, where is... Yeah, I'm looking for the stat block for it. Hi, ma'am. Thank you for joining us again. Welcome to Matty Morgs, where he's just going to stare at PDFs. Yeah, I know. It said Sword Coast Adventures Guide? Did I still have that as a... Oh, I did have that as a... I was... You know what? I stopped... they do talk about... There's a lot of halfling lore, but you are correct. So we got to open up our Sword Coast Adventures guides again. Shame on me. That said... I mean, there's Lightfoot's, Stronghearts... It's in the green box. Hey! Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yep, there we go. Ghostwise. Such... So the journey isn't the character we made, it's the friends along the way, huh? Alright, very good. Now that we have this, we can continue and not just have some dude and a cat looking at PDFs for this information. We are going to open up our player's handbooks to Chapter 4, because we are going to begin by understanding who she is by way of her being a folk hero. Yeah, she's so... Thank you, Kevin. She's so small that we just couldn't see it. Alright, as a folk hero, we are going to have proficiency with animal handling and survival. We're going to have proficiency in some type of artisan's tools and vehicles land. And for the artisan tool, we can actually randomly roll that. But before we get to that part, what is our defining event? We stood up to a tyrant's agents. That is defining event number 1. We stood up to a tyrant's agents. Our background feature is rustic hospitality. Since you come from the ranks of the common folk, you fit in among them with ease. You can find a place to hide, rest, or recuperate among other commoners, unless you have shown yourself to be a danger to them. They will shield you from the law or anyone else searching for you, though they will not risk their lives for you. Now, interestingly enough, depending on how we want to take this chaotic evil bend, I mean, she could just be a murderer or a murderess. She could just be crazy cuckoo. Maybe she's chaotic evil in the eyes of... You know, she stood up to tyrants, but was this... is this a case of someone defying the law of the land because the laws and the culture itself is corrupt. And that could have led to it. Or even if this goes back a ways, everyone remembers her, you know, growing up in these lands, and maybe she even became a paladin to start with by joining the tyrant's forces, then having this kind of crisis and then becoming an Oathbreaker after serving for so long. And that could be the standing up. Something could have happened. And of course, we'll explore her more and more. You know, the sailor option of bad reputation could arguably be an alternative for folk hero as well. And that's one where you walk into bars and people will give you free food or drink or whatever, just so you don't smash things or hurt people, or just so they don't draw your ire. So I mean, we can stick with rustic hospitality without a problem. Though I would urge you to consider, you know, sometimes mixing and matching pieces of backgrounds could be good. And in this instance, the bad reputation feature from Sailor could end up being what you want to give her for a background feature. All right, before we get too much further, let's go to Chapter 5 Equipment, and let's determine what kind of artisan tools has she learned how to use. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There are 17 different tools. And so I guess that's a 15% chance to get a miss. But I'll tell you what, Van, can you roll? And let's do this. Type exclamation point 2d20, just in case one of them comes up in the 18, 19, 20 range. We'll use the second dice roll. Otherwise, we'll use the first. Hey, Quingar. Ten and a 4. Okay, so we're going to use the first number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Leatherworker tools. She's proficient with leatherworking. Okay, now we're going to go back to personality and background. Go to folk hero. There we go. And now, what is her personality? Her first aspect is number 2. If someone is in trouble, I'm always ready to lend help. And number 1, I judge people by their actions, not their words. Oh, hey. Oh, there's an elf on my shelf. Or rather, is there a laddie on the matty? Quingar, we'll pull your capsule here when we finish up with this character, if that's okay by you. Presuming you want a capsule. Now, what is her ideal? Her ideal is number 2. Fairness. No one should get preferential treatment before the law. And no one is above the law. This is going to be a very interesting character to explore, her psychology, because she expresses herself as this chaotic evil character, yet we have a more wholesomeness about her. And this is going to lead to a very interesting kind of coming-of-age story, especially because she's only 19. And what is her bond? Her bond is number 2. I worked the land, I love the land, and I will protect the land. I am the law. And her flaw is number 3. The people who knew me when I was young know my shameful secret, so I can never go home again. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What happened? What's the shameful secret? What's going on? Some very interesting prompts. All right, let's see if we can get through this. This is so chaotic evil. She's impulsive. She may not be very well organized. It doesn't mean that she's erratic or stupid. Don't get that incorrect. You know, if you're chaotic, it doesn't mean you're not intelligent. In fact, many very intelligent people would act chaotically because they have so many thoughts going through their minds. They're very impulsive. They're very creative and put ideas together. And with her being evil, she's very selfish. With this sort of view, let's see. So she won her folk hero. Okay, so maybe this is more of an anti-hero. If we did it this way, especially if you took that bad reputation. You know, you turn folk hero, you turn it into anti-hero if you give them the bad reputation instead of rustic hospitality. So she didn't want to be a hero. You know, when she was young, you know, a farmer's daughter, grew up herding cattle and you know, doing this. So she grew up as much as halflings can to be big and strong. You know, tough girl. She went to go serve this apparently tyrant. And she proved herself, or maybe she caught the tyrant's eye. You know, she went to go deliver some farm animals or vegetables or something. And either her prowess or her looks or something ended up catching the tyrant's eye, and she fell into service. And of course, this could have been a good way up for her family. However, now that she understood, you know, as much as people think that the tyrant's benevolent, what if she found out that the tyrant is like a Strahd, like either a vampire or just honestly behind closed doors is a very, you know, is a very cruel or a very bad person. Or maybe she finds out that there actually hasn't been a duke or a king or whatever in some time. And it's all been sort of like a puppet game. You know, maybe he was indisposed. And so she overheard like the council that was, you know, that made a simulacrum but was controlling it or something, and she learned this secret. And so she staged kind of a coup, or something along those lines, which ended up spilling the news. But she can't go home because if she was connected to her family for some reason, you know, maybe I don't know. I'm throwing ideas out there. So maybe people in the council didn't really know about her because she was just hired in by someone else. But if they ever found out that it was her family would be killed for leaking the news that, you know, the king has been a puppet this whole time or something along those lines. Since then, she's lived a life in the countryside of not knowing who to trust. Of, you know, she still has her skills, but her, you know, her heart had been broken. Her, you know, she's a Ghostwise Halfling, but let's say that she, you know, we're saying she's a Lightfoot, but something happened. There's necromancy involved. Pardon, if we go to the Sword Coast Adventures Guide. Ghostwise Halflings, now this is if you wanted to use their lore, and of course you don't have to. But let's try and find some inspiration. Ghostwise Halflings trace their ancestry back to a war among Halfling tribes that sent their ancestors into flight from Luiren. Ghostwise Halflings are the rarest of the Hin, found only in the Chondlewood and a few other isolated forests, clustered in tight-knit clans. Many Ghostwise clans select a natural landmark as the center of their territory, and members carry a piece of that landmark with them at all times. Clan warriors known as Night Gliders bond with and ride giant owls as mounts. Because these folk are clannish and mistrustful of outsiders, Ghostwise Halfling adventurers are rare. Ask your DM if you can play a member of this subrace, which has the Halfling traits, with the exception of you get Wisdom, which goes by 1, And then silent speech. You can speak telepathically to any creature within 30 feet of you. So something might have happened there where we turned into this Ghostwise from the events of the castle. I'd say she tap danced throughout the village, intoxicated, and lost her clothes along the way. Oh, so a what is it? A Lady Godiva? Although no, she was on the back of a horse galloping through. I don't know if that's so much a terrible secret in that regard, but yeah, it could have caused a scandal. Fi. By the way, cool 3D model. Is that for a class that you're taking, or I saw your submission to the Your Creations Fi. What's the context to it? So she's had quite the life. She grew up on a simple farm, then perhaps in the shadow of some kind of a power. She went there. She tasted power. She got training and armor, and you know she was gonna be a someone, and then something traumatic happened. And where we find her in her life right now, her current alignment, and remember, alignment can change. Her current alignment is that she's in this survival. Maybe in the heat of things, she has people looking for her. She's impulsive. She just lives day to day, and she's very selfish. She'll use people to try and hide, you know, so she's using rustic hospitality, which maybe gets other people in trouble, but she doesn't want to upset her family. Maybe her mom or dad told her so, like, no, don't work for the castle, don't work for the castle. But oh, but you know, the Duke's so handsome or whatever, and there we go. I think that could be a good origin for how we have this type of character. And then, of course, you know, where does the necromancy come in? Well, if she swore an original oath of some kind, you know, what was that oath, and then how was it corrupted? Or honestly, what, you know, Oathbreaker is just the name given to a set of skills. Did she actually break the oath, or did she complete her training, and her training was to set her on this path to be more like a Death Knight? And if that's the case, I mean, Oathbreaker again is the placeholder. She just received this necromantic training, this hard battle training. You know, if you want to win, you got to use any tactics available, kind of a thing. And so she actually has sworn an oath, and she's drawing power from the oath. But the oath is just one of, you know, of this kind of dominance or this corruption. There may or may not be a monkey's paw involved, says A was. Oh, cool, Fi. Well, you know, as you continue that journey, please share it. Are you willing? Are you willing to share the game that you're trying to mod, or like what you want to do with it, or if you want to keep it super secret, that's fine as well. There, so I think we have a cool story, and what's important about the character's story is this is going to help us build our adventure and build our map and build our NPCs and our villains. So, you know, again, she may be chaotic evil. If someone's in trouble, she's ready to lend help, though, you know, that you say, well, that's a good thing, right? She could leverage that later for selfish gain, or she could ask for pay up front, or she could ask for pay, you know, afterwards. You know, judging people by their actions, that leans a little bit easier into that selfishness and that evilness. You know, fairness. If she judges something on the spot of something being unfair, you know, this does have a lawful suggestion to it, but this doesn't mean that she can't determine what is fair on a whim or by her own perception. Or I guess it'd be, well, skill-wise, and like an insight, perhaps. Oh, all right. Well, I certainly wish you well in the, I wish you well in that endeavor, Fi. Rabid Pidgeot, welcome. Looking forward to my second session of my new campaign session. Starting them as freshmen in an adventuring high school. Got the premise from Dimension 20. So you're the DM. Have you been DMing for long, or is this like your first game that you're wanting to run? I like the concept, the adventuring high school kind of theme. Are you willing to talk about what you're doing a little bit more, Rabbit? So now we have our background. We're going to go to halflings first. Boop. And boop. She's so happy. How can you... I just can't not smile when I see that picture. All right. We get +2 to our dexterity being a halfling. And we also have a 25 move speed, giving us 12 climb, 12 swim, 0 fly. We are lucky. We get lucky as halflings. When you roll 1 on an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll it, but you must use the new one. We're also brave, and that gives us advantage versus being frightened. And halfling nimbleness. We can speak, read, and write common and halfling. Now it's time for the sub-race options, and we're going to return to the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide and increase our wisdom by 1. You can speak, and silent speech. You can speak telepathically to any creature within 30 feet of you. The creature understands you only if the two of you share a language. You can speak telepathically in this way to one creature at a time. This would make her an interesting battle leader. I have heard of College Humor, yes. You've been DMing for about 3 years. We've been running a campaign for about 8 months and are level 9. But one friend just got deployed. Oh, in military. Yep, that happens. So that's on pause, and I put this together for next year. It's, I'm glad that your group is still able to get together and meet, or maybe you've even invited someone else. Do you have any particular like table traditions? Do y'all eat Thai food or pizza before a session, or you're very welcome to talk about your group or your story. This is an excellent place for it, Rabid. And now we're going to go to Paladin. Paladin classes. Paladin. We're level 13, so this is what we're going to worry about right here. We have a proficiency bonus of +5. We have some spell slots to throw in. 4, 3, 3, and 1. And we are a D10 hit die class, so we're going to get 13 D10s that we can use to naturally recover on rests. We're proficient with all armor and shields. We're proficient with simple and martial weapons. No tool proficiencies. Our saving throws are going to be wisdom and charisma. And now we're going to get to choose 2 skills from athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, persuasion, and religion. I judge people. If someone's in trouble and ready to help. Fairness. I'm definitely getting a strong... I'm getting a strong insight vibe from her. Because she does judge people. In fact, that's probably what led to her leading this rebellion. Athletics, insight, intimidation would probably be the next one as well. Because I don't think she's too much of a persuader. You know, especially with her brute force personality. Plus, if we have a shameful secret from our past, we definitely don't want people talking about it. They have a streaming service called Dropout, and I have a bunch of D&D mini campaigns, roughly 12 episodes. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that they had such a platform, Rabid Pidgeot. One of my players is active military, and Uncle Sam is a pain in the butt. Yeah. We start with the following: a martial weapon and a shield, or 2 martial weapons. Well, she's a defensive fighter, so I think we're going to take the shield. And she's going to get a martial weapon of some kind. What might she use? She can't use large weapons effectively, being a halfling. So, you know, a long sword would be kind of like a great sword to her. She can use it. I work the land, I love the land, and I'll protect the land. I wonder if there's a weapon that maybe is more... You know, what would she have learned, especially, you know, with whatever training we're presuming that she's gotten? She's also a leather worker, which would mean that she is used to blades and blade work. A morning star would actually be pretty interesting. A war pick, a war pick could be interesting as well, because that could have some qualities, like some farm tools that she might have been used to. Flail could be good too. Oh, an axe. She worked the land. We can give her a battle axe. You know, she might be used to cutting trees and being, you know, being all strong. Oh yeah, she could have a sickle or whatnot on the side, perhaps on the side. Now, just going by the character creation from here, Paladin. If we go martial, I mean, I don't think your DM would complain if you went from a martial to a simple weapon. Oh, actually, we can even take a simple weapon here. So actually, if we do that, if we give her, you know, we could give her a battle axe. Again, though, you know, if we just go strength and dex, but we can picture her with a battle axe. We can picture her also with a sickle, because you do get a simple melee weapon. She probably, you know, would this have a religious bend? I don't know if she's particularly religious when it comes to this this oath or what she's done. I don't know if we have so much a holy paladin, but rather someone who has sworn this oath in this way and is receiving these powers for whatever use that they're offering. Let's give her an explorer's pack. Chainmail and a holy symbol. Oh, I forgot to write down the things she got from her background as well. Shame on me. Let's do that real quick. I don't want to leave that behind. We're going to get leather worker's tools. A shovel. She's a shovel knight. Honestly, you could probably rebrand like a nice, like a heavy shovel as a spear or an axe or something. And you could have a shovel knight if you really wanted to. Again, just take the mechanics and reflavor it. But anyway, a shovel, an iron pot, and what else did she get? Common clothes, and a belt pouch with 10 gapas in it. There we go. I appreciate your discretion, Fi. Daly says, forgot to mention one of your proud papa moments. My boys got a castle with a wizard, king, queen, knights, and dragon. Brother-in-law bought a few more dragons and wyverns to go with the set. Now the proud moment, my wife was looking at one of the figures and she asked out loud why this dragon only had 2 legs. And my 3-year-old looked at her so seriously and said, Mommy, that's a wyvern. Dragons have 4 legs. Wyverns have 2. How do you not know that? Oh, Daly, that is great. Oh. Well, Rabid, this is absolutely a friendly community to share that stuff. And hey, if you wanted to join us on Discord too, if you like the character creation, the thoughts we're throwing out there, you're join us on our Discord, and we even have an RPG workshop where you can either offer to mentor people, or if you have questions yourself, you can ask them and get feedback on. I'm thinking about this. Are their opinions, and go from there. She could use a trident as a pitchfork as well. Yeah, I like it, Cryo. Oh, Rabid. Well, thank you so much for subscribing. And hey, for all of you that subscribe, know that at the end of the month, when we do our year 3 start, and we're gonna have our boxes of minis giveaway, and all those boxes are purchased by subscriptions. And so it's not even just like a to me thing. This is, you're helping other people get miniatures to put on their table. All right, we're going to get some Divine Sense. We're also going to get Lay on Hands. Our hands are so small. And you get 5 hit points per level. So, 65, and you can spend them 1 at a time, or you could blow them 5 at a time to relieve disease or poison or the like. We have our fighting style of defense, so that's going to give us extra armor, which in this case, chainmail 16 plus a shield is 18. Unless we have like magic armor or something, we already have a 19. And if we go to full plate, we'll have a 21. Spellcasting, we're going to worry about that later. Don't need it right now. We are going to have not just Divine Smite, but improved Divine Smite, because we are level 11. So why just write Divine Smite when I can write improved? We are also going to have Divine Health. Our Sacred Oath, we will get spells and such. We'll worry about that from the Dungeon Master's Guide in a little bit. ASIs, we're going to worry about in a little bit. We're going to get an extra attack. And an Aura of Protection. Whenever you are a friendly creature within 10 feet of you, must make a saving throw. The creature gains a bonus to the saving throw equal to your Charisma modifier. You know what would be interesting? So we have this Golgari Agent Gnome who can cast Raise Dead. I think this Paladin might be able to as well. But, Paladins, Oathbreaker Paladins, can be necromancers of a sort. And in fact, they're really good because they bolster all of the undead that they're commanding because of their auras and such. And even some spells they take, I think, might be able to do that. So we may have a very interesting party starting with a theme that's going to lead into the adventure we're going to create this coming week. Because, of course, we're going to draw on our characters to fuel all that other stuff. And we don't have Cleansing Touch just yet. We aren't 14th level, we're 13th, so I'm not going to worry about that. Alright, Dungeon Master's Guide. Oathbreaker. We're going to get some spells. Actually, real quick, we have 4, 3, 3, 1 at this level. 4, 3, 3, and 1. Third, 5th, 9th, and 13th. So we'll get Hellish Rebuke. Inflict wounds. I'm thinking, so we have this sweet, innocent, but strong, farmer's daughter halfling. We're going to get Crown of Madness. She was called to the castle, or rather she delivered something to it, and maybe she got caught up in something. And what if she's hosting some sort of dark power, I want to tell this story if she just got caught up in something and she's on the run, and she might even have this divine spark. Maybe they were trying to create or feed or bring back a god with a sacrifice, but she's carrying the sacrifice with her. and so, you know, people are going to hunt after her. And oh, I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm just getting a lot of good story ideas about this one character alone, let alone weaving it into the other character we've already made and the 2 more we're going to make tomorrow. Animate Dead. So we do get Animate Dead. We're also going to get Bestow Curse. We're going to get Blight. And we're going to get Confusion. I'm filling this up here. Our land hands. You cast off Charisma. Spells prepared for a Paladin is your Charisma modifier plus half of your Paladin level rounded down. So we'll fill that in when we get there. All right, we're going to get Channel Divinity. We're going to be able to control undead. And Dreadful Aspect. There we go. And you can read about this in your Dungeon Master's Guide or in an SRD. We are going to get an Aura of Hate. Any fiends and undead within 10 feet gains a bonus to melee weapon damage rolls equal to Charisma modifier. And that can add up if you have a swarm. And we're not quite high enough for our supernatural resistance. We're close. All right, now that we have this, it is time to give her scores. We've told a story. We've discovered her. We have this pained girl who's been through something. You know, we know her. Now let's let our knowledge of her define her mathematically or mechanically through the scores. What do they call a paladin's vacation? A can trip. Because of the armor. Wow. She's a Palpatine, says Tool to Twitch. She was tricked into dark power by the spirit itself. Ooh, good. All right, Rabid. With her being from a farm, wouldn't she be a little naive? She, maybe. I don't know. Like, farmers, you know, we might... Now, I'm biased as I have farmers in the family. You know, there's obviously a very stereotype of, you know, kind of simple folk, you know, maybe in D&D we'd say high wisdom, low intelligence. Though I'll tell you, there's a lot of farmers who will surprise you with the things that they actually factually know, the book learnings. And so, you know, this is our character. We could have her be naive. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to say that like I'm trying to sound defensive or whatever. You know, we're telling a story. We have characters with faults, with things they're good at and not good at. I mean, she's 19. Of course she's going to be ignorant to some things. In fact, maybe intelligence is her dump stat. I could very well see that. But you know what? Hey, let's start assigning that. Now, she is a farmer's daughter. And so I think she is strong. And I also think that she has that rustic charm. She's also wise. You know, she does have a lot of that upbringing. Uh, 15, 14, 13. She eats pretty hearty. Let's give her some bonus hit points. She's nimble because, you know, she may wear a can, but she knows, you know, how to climb a tree still. I mean, that's athletics, but you get what I'm saying. And you know what? She is 19. She came off of a farm. You know, maybe she was the big fish in a small pond until she got caught up in this, you know, this evil tyrant schemes and sort of was, you know, she wanted to just be a knight in service. And all that went downhill when, you know, this mystic contact or whatever happened. But yeah, I think we can make intelligence her dump stat. Awaz says she was there to deliver strawberries, got caught as the sacrifice, tainted by a Cthulhu monster, fought her way out, and they're still after her. That is, you know, that is fine as a summary or as a concept of, yeah, I was just there to deliver the strawberries that the castle ordered. You know, she wore her fine, her fine Sunday dress, which probably still had some patches and, whatever. But it was her best one because she was going to present herself. And, she felt, she fell in love with the nobility and everyone was eating so well and enjoying her strawberries. And then they took her to the back and said, hey, you want to work with us? And she's, oh boy, howdy do I. And then things just, went from there, Awaz. Oh yeah, the banter, the throwing out of ideas, rabid, back and forth. That's what improves characters, improves stories. It fertilizes the ground of our minds. Now we're going to add in her halfling dex. We're going to add in her halfling wisdom. And we have a character now that is going to get 3 stat bumps, 4, 8, and 12. Every time that you get one of those, you can add 2 to 1 ability score or 1 to 2. And I think we're going to make her, so if we do this, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think her presence would have grown in her training and her time as a known person, or just this radiance that this divine, maybe not beneficent divine. And, the other 4 we could probably put into strength. Although a part of me would still want to put that into wisdom. Like, almost as give her a 17 strength and a 16 wisdom. As I think she would be wiser. And if not wiser, then we would go more into charisma. Because she is in this state, right? I want to tell a story, and your character's ability scores are a part of the story. They're just a reference point for it. This is what's having me think wisdom and strength. Wisdom also would come in the fact of insight. However, she does have that intimidation factor. And it's important that people learn to keep their mouths shut or don't learn about certain things. I don't know. We have 4 points. We could dump it into strength and give her a 19 strength. Nothing wrong with that. Where would you all like to see those 4 extra points? Well, I'll change it if something comes up. We're going to put 2. Let's put 2 in strength. And let's put 2... Maybe she just has the wisdom from being 19. I don't mind raising that. That's pretty good. She's strong there. But if we raise this to an 18, I think that would buff her all around, but make her even more intimidating. So let's do this. This is going to give her a 3 strength, 1 dex, 1 con, -1 int, 2 wisdom, and a 4 charisma. Going to give her a 3 and 3 for her strength saving throw and athletics, 1 down the line for anything dex, 1 con. All of her intelligences, she was taught the basics, just nothing too advanced. She's not dumb per se, she just doesn't have a lot of advanced knowledge. She's very wise for her age. That's going to give her a 12 perception, 10 plus your perception modifier. And then for charisma here, our saving throw is 9, our intimidation's 9, and everything else is a nice solid 4. Our initiative then is going to be a +1. We have 0 dark vision. Our current hit points, we get 10 at our first character level of our paladin, because that's our hit die. Then for our remaining 12 levels of our 13, because we already have our hit points from our first level, it's half +1, which would be 6. Then for all 13 levels, you get bonus hit points equal to your Constitution modifier. So easy math. That's a 13. That's going to be 72. That's going to be an 82. And that's going to be a 95 hit points. If she's attacking with a strength-based weapon, she's going to attack at a +8. With a dex-based weapon, a +6. And then, of course, with whatever damage type that you would want to assign her, given the weapons. If she's attacking with a Paladin spell, that's going to be a +9. And to save against that, you add 8. So that's going to be a 17 to resist her effects. And for someone who might end up going to control undead and whatnot, you want them to fail that wisdom save. She knows the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Yes, it was. Reading, writing, arithmetic. She no longer is a set of numbers. She has earned a name, everyone. So if a name is coming to you, please provide one. Throw one out there. As we come down here, our spell casting was a 17 to save and a +9 to hit. Our spells prepared are charisma modifier, which is 4, plus half our paladin level rounded down, so 6. So she can prepare 10 spells over the 4 spell levels she knows. I mean, she wants to put all 10 as level 4 spells. She can do so. All 10 is level 1 spells. She can, whatever, every time that she prays for her spells. You know, she wakes up in the morning, you know, takes her vitamins, says her prayers, Hulk Hogan. She can scatter the different spells throughout the tiers, throughout the spell slots she has. So it's pretty loosey-goosey. It's very situational, which isn't necessarily a bad thing either. She does not have cantrips, unless we're going with the Unearthed Arcana version of Paladin. And you know what? Just as our totem barbarian here might be able to ride his his beast companion, our Oathbreaker here might be able to summon a mount. And so we have two shorties able to ride some mammonals into combat, or just across the lands. And you know, if you did that, then you could fill in the companion sheet here with the form that we use. Raz says Cantora Snapdragon. So, our Snapdragon's a prodigious flower in the area, or is Snapdragon a family name earned from for another purpose? And what does Cantora mean to you? Is that is this an implied songstress? Does she sing? Or is Cantora just a play on the old, you know, you wear the tin can being a paladin? Playing the can and the flower? Okay. So we have... She's Presbyterian. The dead shall rise and whoop the arse of any mule-headed jerk to argue with me. Yeah, we're giving her some fire, some spit. And it's not fire, it's far. F-A-A-H-R. Fire. We have an awesome character, everyone. I like her. She's inspirational. She tells a story. And you know what? Walshud Gemcutter is the same. This would be an awesome and fun character to play. Because he has a story. He exists in a world. Hey, Delcorin. Delcorin, you're arriving almost as soon as we're getting ready to wind things down. We've made our 2 characters for the night.